imagine trying to actually get serious about fixing something that you can't see, you don't know whose fault it is, you don't know where it happened, you don't know when it happened, and you don't know exactly how it happened. It's kind of hard to make a plan. Most people in the world want to see climate change stop. And what data can do that I think a lot of people don't realize is it can make it easier to fix the problem.
For decades, we around the world and all the various nations have been trying to figure out how to solve this crisis. A lot of national leaders have not had accurate information about where the pollution is coming from in their own countries.
And what Climate Trace is about is tracing the emissions to where they come from, so we can get a sense of what's actually causing climate change and what can be done about it. The thing about CO2 is that it's so much of it in the background now that actually when you look for CO2, it's pretty hard to figure out whether that's the CO2 you were looking for or it was just all that background CO2. So what we've learned as Climate Trace is that if you want to know if a power plant, a factory, an airport is causing emissions, you might want to stir some other methods in there too. Don't just look for CO2, understand that facility and use AI to get a sense of, is that the CO2 you're looking for?
Climate Trace is the only independent inventory of all of the significant emission sites for greenhouse gas pollution that's causing the climate crisis.
The problem with emissions data is it can often be too general, it can be extremely outdated, or it's just not sufficiently accurate or precise enough to help decision making. Climate Trace is solving all of these problems by having granular, recent data for every single sector, every single country.
What we're doing is illuminating the world's emissions and doing so rapidly. So you can see immediately trends and you can see the implications of decisions that you've made.
I have hope because there's a lot of ways that we can cut emissions quickly. In the oil and gas sector in particular, methane is an easy, low-hanging fruit in terms of getting those emissions reductions fast.
For the road transportation emissions, on the geographic scale, we're getting really high resolutions. So we're looking at road segments. So even like a highway between exit 10 and exit 11, we've got an estimate for the road transportation emissions there.
And our data sets can help in a very close and short period of time to know exactly what's going on in the land use change and report it for the policymakers or those who are enforcing laws.
We're actually talking about changing the world here. If we come to it as a coalition in general, we can accomplish things that no individual organization can accomplish by itself.
There's an old saying that you can only manage what you can measure. Well, up until Climate Trace, we haven't been able to measure it. To see governments and corporate supply chain managers and NGOs and others around the world pick up this information and use it to actually start reducing emissions, that's really something that gives me a great feeling, and I think every member of the coalition is motivated in the same way.